Hello and welcome to Sometimes Video Games. I'm Adam, and as per usual, you've joined the Sometimes Video Games podcast with Charlie Walsh, who doesn't seem as tired today. Are you okay? Are you good? Are you managing? Are you
Oh, I've
sleeping
had
well?
7 hours sleep. I mean, I'm not sleeping well, but I've had 7 hours. I had my earlier on. If we did this the usual time we would do this, it would have been very bad.
That's
But
I mean, that's normal, right?
I mean, yeah, but so the last like 3 nights, I've had 3 hours sleep each night
Oh shit.
for work, and then so like this morning when I woke up, and I have actually had 7 hours today,
Hmm.
but when I woke up this morning, this afternoon when I woke up, I was bad.
Hmm.
Like I had a phone call with my mum, and she was like, "You sound so tired," and I was just out
Oh
of it. But
no.
now I've sort of, I've had hot chocolate. I've woken up
Hmm.
a bit.
You've had a hot chocolate.
Yeah, yeah. So I've woken up a bit.
Okay.
Bit of
I get you.
sugar.
Bit of sugar. Fair enough. Also joined by Louis Birtwistle. How are you today? Good sir.
Great, mate.
Hey mate. How are you? You having a
I'm
nice time?
chilling, me.
Chilling.
Yeah.
Oh.
I've been asleep today for about 5 hours.
Oh. How does it feel, Charlie, to not be the person with the least sleep on the podcast?
Or does Louis mean he had 6 hours, 5 hours extra?
Ah, you mean that's also a good
Yeah.
question. Fair enough.
I mean, that's
So what, like, you had 15 hours or something instead of a nice 10, a nice equal 10 hours sleep.
Does anyone in the world have 10 hours sleep?
I feel like sometimes I get that much.
I feel like that's the sort of thing like a CEO says in an interview, and everyone goes, "Oh, look at that," and I don't
Yeah.
think it's true.
No,
Like I
because all
feel
the
like if you're
CEOs
talking
say that
to,
they've had like 4, right?
that's the thing. I think you get two types, right? You
Hmm.
billionaires, right? You get two of them. You get ones who have 4 hours, one who have like 10, and no in between.
Hmm.
And to be honest with you, I think they both lie. But anyway, we move.
I mean, yeah, I remember there's a like a TikTok thing, and it's Elon Musk, and he's talking. I think it might even fucking be Joe Rogan or some shit. I hate
sounds about right.
YouTube because it recommends all of this stuff to me because I don't know, whatever. And it's like Elon Musk. He's going, oh, how much sleep do you get, Elon Musk? And he's like, oh, I get a good 6 hours a night. And he's like, that seems like a lot for you. I thought you did all the work in the world. And he's like, no. No, I just sleep sometimes, and then I wake up, and that's good. And I'm like,
God,
yeah,
I
that's
hate
how sleep works. Are you a fucking alien? What the fuck?
God, I hate Joe Rogan. I really do.
I don't know anything about. I legit would never have ever. I
well,
wouldn't
he's
know
a
who he
fucking
was.
he's an idiot conspiracy theorist, isn't
Oh
he?
yeah, he's an idiot. I wouldn't know who he was if it wasn't for people going on about how much they hated Joe Rogan.
If
Like,
you'd
it's
asked,
the only reason I know
I
who he
watched
is.
I watched his Netflix comedy show back before his podcast was big.
I didn't know he was a comedian, like at all.
you've watched Fear Factor.
Well, the thing is,
I have.
he wasn't a very funny
That's what I mean.
comedian, because thing is, Joe Rogan he's had quite the successful television career before starting a podcast.
Apparently, like I didn't know. So I have seen the American Fear Factor. I don't think was there a presenter before Joe Rogan on it because I don't remember Joe Rogan at all. But then again, I wasn't that into Fear Factor. I was like, oh yeah, this is the thing where they put spiders down people's pants now or whatever.
Wait, you say
But
the
thing
American one? Is there an English Fear Factor?
I believe so.
Oh, there probably is. I've just never seen it. Fair enough. Carry on.
I don't know. That was
Well,
it.
that's the thing. Like, I feel like American takes really good shows made in the UK and just makes them more American.
Yeah, there was a Fear Factor UK. It was hosted by a guy called Ed Sanders.
Sure. I mean, yeah. The thing is, right? So if you'd asked me, I don't know, if you'd asked me in 2016, something like that, what I thought of Joe Rogan and his podcast, I would have gone, he's an idiot, but he's sort of doesn't play the harmless idiot, but he's just sort of like, there's something about watching his podcast where he just asks such inanely stupid questions that it almost works.
Sure.
That it's just like he'll have someone on who's like vaguely interesting, usually in sports or whatever, or comedy in America, and he's just a bit of an idiot, and it sort of works that way. But I think what's happened in recent years is his idiocy has taken over, and he is now someone who wants to give his opinion on stuff who shouldn't because he's an idiot.
I tell you who I watched on Fear Factor. It was ludicrous. Ludacris presented Fear Factor. That's
The
who
good
I
lad
know.
is ludicrous.
The thing is, I wouldn't have a fucking like. You'd ask me about Joe Rogan, I'd be like, I don't know who that is, like, at all. I would never know. That's why, because it's MTV. I'm looking at it now because I would have watched it on on MTV and not NBC, a station that we don't have in this country.
Sure.
And so Ludacris was the host of the MTV version of Fear Factor, and Joe Rogan was the host of NBC's version of Fear Factor.
Okay.
I honestly, literally only heard of him like last year. I have no idea who he was, even remotely. And I feel like he's blown up in the last year so much that he's become. I feel like if you're a white male and you're living in America specifically, but also over here, you're expected to listen to him and probably agree with everything he says, right?
I don't know if he's blown up in the last year anymore. I think he got his Spotify deal in when was that? Probably 2019, something like that.
I mean, that
And
makes sense, yeah.
I don't think he's
It's
any more
2020,
popular.
May 2020.
I don't think he's any more popular. I think just because you wouldn't have come across him because you're
Oh,
not
no.
you're not particularly into combat sports in that sense or anything like that.
I
So
mean,
there's no
true.
reason why you wouldn't. There's no reason why you would
I
know
am
Joe
into
Rogan.
comedy, though, to be fair.
I think the only but you're into good comedy. So the only reason I think you would know about Joe
Sure.
Rogan is because in the last couple of years is because he's become so heavily on the conspiracy theory train. Also on the right wing sphere, and that's something you're not into, but it's something
It's
you know
something
more about than anyone else. So
that's
I think it would help,
endlessly
I think.
requested. It's something that's endlessly put towards me on both Twitter and YouTube and everything fucking else, and I wish it'd stop.
It would stop, but you click on it is the problem, Adam.
That
They
is the
feed
problem. That is the
the
problem.
algorithm
To
reads
be
what you
fair,
click on and
with
feeds
the
you more of it.
YouTube shorts, I can't not like I scrolled down because you know you're just like, have you done YouTube shorts? I assume you have. Like you finish the video and then you scroll up and another video is presented to you immediately without you clicking on anything, and it could be literally anything. So I've been watching these really funny short comic things about with a guy who has a really soothing voice, and he'll just be like, "Yes, you have done well today. Something funny. There's a funny joke involved. Ha ha ha." And then I swing up, and then it's just like Jordan Peterson and Joe Rogan having a chat about why COVID doesn't exist. And I'm like, why is this on my fucking feed? This has nothing to do with the thing that I was just watching. Stop.
I'll get black, mate. I'll get black.
God, it's just annoying. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're probably right. I probably wouldn't have known who he was because, like, what UFC and stuff like that. Some American comedy he was on a show that I don't remember. That people said that were with Andy Dick, right? A show with Andy Dick.
Sure, I have no opinion on either of those things. I'm not gonna lie, but
Sure, no, that's fair. Oh, it was supposed to be Ray Romano, but it wasn't him. Okay, cool. I know who Ray Romano is. Ray Romano is the guy that everybody loves.
sure.
Everybody loves Ray. You know, everybody loves Raymond. It's on Channel 4
Yeah.
in the morning sometimes.
In here.
But that's why you wouldn't know him, right? So
Yeah.
I don't think he's got. If anything, I think probably his podcast is. I would hesitate to guess his podcast has maybe gone down in views. If anything, I don't think it would have. But
Really?
I don't think it's gone up. But I think the reason you would know him is
I think his
because
controversy has gone up, right? Like
he's
the
become so
controversy
well.
surrounding
Yeah.
him has reached further on the internet than it would
Yeah,
normally.
exactly. He's become so
Wait,
well.
what's Ray Romano done?
Romano,
Nothing.
Joe Rogan.
Nothing. No, it was
Well, he might. if he wants.
Joe Rogan did a role
Oh,
in a show that was
look.
supposed to be for Ray. That's it.
Anyway, that was your Joe Rogan.
Look,
15
I
minutes
don't
special.
understand why like people like him. I don't understand this thing where it's like where people like him are like you know, they advocate for like probably eating raw meat or something. You know, one of the weird fucking manly lifestyle fucking.
I don't know if it's so. I have because unfortunately I
I
know
can
about this stuff.
Can I just say there's an obvious reason? It's because he's an idiot. Carry on.
True. I don't know if that he is specifically, but I've seen it was the Jordan Peterson one and him talking about his diet, how his diet is like raw meat or whatever. It's not raw meat, but it's like I only eat steak Like, the only thing I ever eat is steak
Oh, that's
because
such a
vegetables aren't healthy for you anymore or something. And I'm like, what is this man talking about?
This is the guy
oh,
who's
it's because they spray them with chemicals that turn the frogs gay.
I love Alex Jones. I ironically love Alex Jones. I think he's a madman, but he is hilarious. What were you gonna say, Charles?
They're just all fucking idiots, man.
True.
There's a point where they just think they're smarter than they are, and
Hmm.
people gas them up, and so they chat shit, and you're like, bruv, you're chatting shit.
The Alex
There's no reason to
Jones
tell you this.
frog thing apparently is something that actually happened, but it wasn't like. So I think Alex Jones. There's a thing. Did you ever watch the Carl Pilkington stuff? So like An Idiot Abroad and the Ricky Gervais show and stuff.
Nah, I think I became done with Ricky Gervais when it got to that stage. I can't remember.
That's fair. Carl Pilkington seems like a lovely lad. Anyway, Carl
He does, to be
Pilkington
fair.
has this thing where he sees a piece of the news, like he sees something in the news, it interests him, he reads it, and then he distorts the facts of it within his own mind, and then starts making other things up on top of that, like assumptions and stuff based on little bits of news that he sees. Like there's something about he used to do a monkey news segment on that podcast where
I remember that, yeah.
where he'd say something that happened about monkeys, and like the very base facts of what he says are true. Like there was a monkey who went into space, and there were some other points to that, but then also he sort of like extrapolates on that a bit more, like, oh, and then there was a button that he pressed that gave him bananas, and that steered the spaceship or whatever. Like, okay, it's sort of like, okay, it starts from facts and it becomes nonsense. The whole gay frogs thing starts in some sort of factual area where in San Francisco chemical companies are putting stuff in the water, like not putting stuff in the water, but they're like polluting the water, and that's therefore affecting some of frog DNA and making them more hermaphroditic. He he then he then skews that to be the liberal mass media is putting chemicals in the water that turns frogs gay, and has a little rampage about that, which, I mean, you know, like, so there's bits of fact in there, and then he goes insane with it, and
I mean, we
far
always.
more
I feel like I always knew there was like some like a little bit of fact in there because like there's no way he just claimed that without
there's no way,
something being. Yeah, maybe he would. It's fucking Alex Jones. Like, what am I saying, man?
there's no way he just imagined that there were gay frogs. Like, but that's
Oh,
Go
do you like well, like what I think's funny about Alex Jones? Like, you know, he sells like proteins, or like
does he?
body supplements or whatever. I don't know what you call
Jesus.
Brain Force.
Brain.
What?
Yeah, he sells like stuff called Brain
What the
Force.
fuck is Brain Force?
It's a pill.
It's
It's
on his
basically a caffeine
website.
pill. It's practically a caffeine pill.
Oh,
It's
okay.
sold as like a supplement. It's
Hmm.
like you'll concentrate better and blah 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 blah. It's just
Yeah,
caffeine
yeah,
pill,
yeah.
basically. Essentially, carry on, Blue.
But no, like it's all on his website. Like he sells. I remember there was one of them that was like something disgusting mixed with bone broth or something.
Fuck. I don't even know.
He sells all manner of shit. It's
Because he's a
incredible.
shyster. Like that's his entire thing, is that he's a shyster. And like, I understand why people think his personality is fake, because I think it is to some degree. Like that's kind of what I think. I don't necessarily want to say it like that, but like differentiates people like Alex Jones from Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson. In fact, I think Alex Jones normalizes people like Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson. You know, like people look at Alex Jones and go, "Fucking look at this knobhead. He's talking about gay frogs," and there's a song remixed about him talking about Hillary Clinton having
Fucking
sex with a
Hillary.
goblin or something. It's fucking actual, not to bring up his name, but it's actually ludicrous.
Do not put Ludacris's name in
Yeah, I know.
vain.
And not to say ludicrous's name in vain.
I'm getting word by the Ludacris estate not to mention his name anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. We should not do that. Yeah. For copyright reasons. He shall be the man who will not be named.
Yeah, no, we are he says if we continue, then we will receive a libel lawsuit.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly the point. But yeah, like Alex Jones is sort of a comedic figure, right? It's funny. Like, he's nonsense, but it's funny. But then that's opened the way for people like Joe Rogan, for people like Jordan Peterson to say absurdist things and, like, be 100% serious about the matter of fact that, like, hey,
Yeah,
COVID's not real, you know?
potentially, but I think it might also work the other way around more.
Mm.
I think yes, but he's always existed. I think the
Oh, sure.
difference now is that you have a. I think actually, genuinely, I think the way through is sexism. But I think there's the people in between, right? So there's the people in between normality and Alex Jones. I think
Yeah.
I don't think they're enabled by Alex Jones. I think they're enabled by. I don't know. I think Alex Jones is enabled by them to some extent.
Yeah, maybe as well. Maybe there's a bit. I think maybe there's a bit of both ways there. I definitely think Alex Jones kind of blew up before they blew up
But yeah,
in
he's
terms
been
of
around for
yeah.
years and years and years.
And I think there is some sort of like normalization of that like viewpoint through the comedy of it. Slightly because like it's the sort of I guess the same with Boris to some degree and Trump
Yeah.
as well. I think is that like isn't he funny, and then that sort of normalizes that behavior and then makes them more legitimate public figures, I guess, right? Not that I think Boris is a legitimate public figure, but I mean he is our prime minister right now.
Yeah.
And he think about 10 years ago, you see him like shambling down a zip line or something, and you're like, yeah, that's our future
Yeah.
prime minister. Come on.
I think that's the difference. Is no one's ever gonna take Boris. No one will take Alex Jones. Well, some people will, but
Some
the
people will, but
chances
they're
of you
not.
taking
Yeah.
Alex Jones seriously
Yeah.
for like say political office is very different. Whereas like people listen to Jordan Peterson like he's a fucking smart guy when he's
Yeah.
actually a complete moron.
Yeah, absolutely. Just it's very silly. And so I've been saddened by the world this week. Been saddened.
Why? What's it done?
I just everything. It's too much. It's too much, man. Too much,
I
man.
mean, fair enough. Fair enough. It's not great, is it?
What's it done?
Oh, just everyone everywhere makes me sad and angry.
It's not. It's not the. It's not the best place.
No, it's not. It's not great. Speaking about sad, did you hear? I don't know whether you guys heard today. Sadly, Taylor Hawkins, drummer of the Foo Fighters, has passed at the age of 50.
Yeah, I saw that last
Still-
night.
Yeah, I saw that about an hour ago.
Yeah, it was like I think it might have been last night or something. It's American times, isn't it? So I don't know.
I saw it before I went to bed last night.
Yeah, but that could have been 6 o'clock this morning. I don't.
It was at like I don't know 4 or some shit. I don't
There
know.
we go. I saw it when I woke up and I was like, oh shit, that's wow, fuck, that's a young age for someone to. I mean, you know, like for us, it's not super old, but like young, but like still, it's a young age for someone to just go, especially someone who seems so healthy. You know, you guys big
No,
into Foo Fighters or?
I don't even know. I mean, I think Foo Fighters are a great band. Like,
Hmm.
don't get me wrong. I think they're fantastic. But what actually happened? Because I only just saw that he died. I haven't seen anything else.
As far as I'm aware, cause of death is unknown. From what I've read from the news articles, they were in Colombia. They were playing concerts and stuff like that in Colombia. And then just that morning, he was unresponsive in his hotel room, and there's no nothing. Don't know why. Cause of death hasn't been seen yet. Hasn't been published yet anyway. If it has been found, some people linking it to prior drug abuse, but I don't know whether that's true or not.
I mean, realistically, like that is the most likely outcome, but we don't know, do we?
But it's not fair to assume. I don't think.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's a sad day because I mean, Foo Fighters are huge, right? A massive band.
They're not small.
They're not
definitely
the
not
smallest.
small.
I don't know why, but it's just sadness, and it's not even. It's just everything's sad. My whole life's sad. Cheer me up, Charlie.
Well, your webcam's working now, so that's a positive.
That is a positive. My webcam isn't working.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate.
That's what I'm here for, man. I'm
Yeah.
just, it's what good friends are for.
I actually think it was the other day. I just got very stressed out, and lots of things weren't happening in the right order. Because I've mentioned over the last week or so that my knee was having a bad turn. Wasn't able to walk in it very well. So I'd done the doctory stuff. As you may or may not know, I'm on universal credit at the moment. I'm on benefits. Is glorious. So my work coach, I may also preface this for those who don't know. I used to work for the Department for Work and Pensions, and for 3 years, were teaching people how to correctly work on universal credit. So it's a system I know well. Let's just say that. So my work coach, he's an idiot, right?
I mean, harsh, but carry on.
No. He doubts everything I say, like everything.
Oh yeah.
In a passive aggressive manner.
That's what they're for, isn't it?
It's not. And also, this is the worst that I've ever seen.
Allow me to change my way of working.
That's what they do.
That's what they do. Yes.
Yeah, it's what they do.
Not what they're for. It's definitely not what they're for. It's just what they do. Yeah.
If I told this man the sky was blue, he would ask me for evidence of that. That's how bad he is. I said once I went for an interview, he said, "Do you have proof of this?" I said, "No."
Mhm.
They gave me a telephone call and said, "Do you want to come down for an interview?" So I went down for an interview, and then they said, "We'll get back in touch," and they did not get back in touch. And he goes, "Well, you need proof of that." And I'm like, "No, I don't." What do you mean I need proof? What proof could I possibly give you? So this time, kind of annoyingly, I've been keeping them updated because I had to miss an appointment because of my knee. So I've been keeping updates. I said, all right, I book an appointment for a doctor. Booked an appointment with a doctor. To have a talk with them about what's happening with my knee. Okay, cool. Went in Thursday, and he said, "Oh, so you saw your GP then?" And I was like, I actually think that I spoke to a nurse, but yeah, that I spoke to the doctor about that." And he goes, "Well, which one was it, the nurse or the doctor?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, you said you were going to speak to a doctor on your journal, but just now you said you spoke to a nurse. So which one was it?"
Oh my god, what a dickhead!
And I'm like, "Yeah, no, yeah, exactly." I just went, why does what do you like, actually kind of speechless at that he's splitting hairs between me booking an appointment between the nurse and the doctor, as if I was on trial for something, as if like this was in Phoenix Wright and I've just like I just contradicted myself somehow. And he's like, "Objection! You said doctor on your journal, but now you're saying nurse. These are two very different people." Like, no. I booked an appointment with the doctor and I spoke to the nurse. That's the fucking... So he kept pushing me on it. And I was like, "No, excuse me, sorry, you can't... No, this is not correct." Like, do you have any fucking empathy in the world? Like, what is wrong with you as a human being? Like, what is functionally wrong with you as a human being that you're going, this person wrote doctor, but now they're saying nurse, which must mean they're lying to me, instead of just they booked an appointment at the doctor's surgery and got an appointment with the nurse. Like, fuck off. And then I listened to Machine Gun Kelly's album. So that just made my entire life worse.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've made a mistake there.
Yeah.
The first thing, you had no choice, and the second thing, I'm sorry, I've got
Yeah.
no empathy. You listen to MGK. I'm sorry.
It was yeah, it's not. Oh, to be fair, I did listen to the Denzel Curry album as well, which was very good. Yeah,
I don't know if that makes it right. You know what I mean?
it doesn't. Yeah, it was just a rough day. It's just a rough day.
Fair.
You know, there's a song on Machine Gun Kelly's album called World War IV.
No, because unsurprisingly, I haven't listened to Machine Gun Kelly's new album.
And do you know what it's actually about? It's not about World War IV. It's
Is it
about
the fact he's dating Megan Fox?
it's about going to school, and about how you shouldn't go to school because that is World War IV.
I thought it would have been about the fact he's dating Megan Fox because that's all I know about
Is
Machine Gun Kelly in the last like 3 years. After
he
he had that
he
beef with Eminem, and now
get the
he's
beef
married
with
to Megan
Eminem?
Fox.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
that's it.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I also know that he's having a beef with Slipknot for somehow, and then I've sort of like pinpointed it down to Machine Gun Kelly's career is a mixture of cultural appropriation, beefing with bigger celebrities than he is, and Megan Fox. Like, that's all of his career, right?
He did a thing in WWE and got powerbombed once. That was quite fun. But
That
apart from
sounds
that,
fun.
I've got nothing.
Why was he on WWE?
WWE will latch onto anything. Like if there's an opportunity for WWE to latch onto a mainstream person, they will for dear life. They're desperate. For
No.
example, it's WrestleMania next weekend and Logan Paul's wrestling. Good. I'm glad.
Logan Paul's wrestling?
I can't wait.
Why is
Charlie, make them go. Make the
Make the
people, bad
bad
people,
thing
go
go away.
away. Make them go away, Charlie.
You've got Logan Paul and this one I'm fine with, but Johnny Knoxville wrestling, so that's gonna be fun.
I mean,
as well.
Johnny Knoxville,
Not-
yeah, that's gonna be
Not each other, but Johnny Knoxville I'm fine with. But yeah, Logan Paul. As I say, if there's some way they can they are desperate to latch onto mainstream, and so if you are, it doesn't even matter if you're big. Like they were obsessed with Kid Rock for about 10 years, for example. It's stuff like that. Whereas it doesn't matter whether you're good or not, as long as you're not from the wrestling world, they will latch onto you like a leech and suck you for all your worth.
So I'm gonna propose something here. How about we get in
Yeah.
touch with WWE and
We're not
become
mainstream, Adam.
famous wrestlers? We are
We're not
mainstream.
mainstream, Adam. Also, trust me, you don't want to become a famous wrestler.
Uh,
It's a lot very painful, very painful existence.
yeah. I mean, we could end up like. I reckon Louis would make a great second John Cena.
Sure, although
It's just from the tone that you're doing that. I'm imagining Louis' John Cena is John Cena, but he hasn't washed in 12 years, and he's just like really grotty and horrible. And he's like, "Hello, I'm John Cena. You can't see me," and then he like hides behind a coat. Fuck.
just sad.
How are you, Charlie? Anyway, how has your week been? You nice? Are you happy? You friendly?
No, I couldn't give less of a shit, to be honest with you. There we go. What can you do? This week's just been a bad week, isn't it? So,
Really? Why has it been bad for you?
I don't want to talk about it. It's just shit. Work's been shit. Fucking the world is shit.
You know what?
We move.
Your mother.
True, that's also true. You're not wrong. Your mother
Mother's
exists.
Day. It's Mother's Day tomorrow, so
Yeah, it is Mother's
why
Day.
not?
tomorrow. Okay. Are you having a nice
Why
day
not?
with Mother's Day?
No,
You have a
because
cake
the
for
world
your
is shit. No.
No. Yeah, but you just to celebrate your mother and the fact that she birthed you into this horrible world.
Yes. If anything, I'm hater for it. No, I'm seeing her tomorrow, but it's just the world is shit.
No, I agree. Have I depressed you, Charlie?
No, the world has depressed me. It's shit. I can't be asked. If this is where we're going, listen, I came into this with all the positivity, but if this is the way we're going, then we can talk about it.
Okay.
The world is fucking trash, bruv, yeah? Every day there's just a new fucking fire to put out, and it's just unnecessary. We don't need any of it, right? We could just move on and live happy lives, but no, we refuse to. We listen to the likes of fucking Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson and every other fucking numpty on the planet who thinks they have an opinion worth listening to, when really they don't. And frankly, I can't be asked. I just genuinely cannot be asked. You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
I really.
Oh, there are
it's even
so
like,
many people who think their opinion's worth listening to, and that's like just a byproduct of there being an internet.
I mean, true.
and I'm saying that full in the knowledge that we are talking on a podcast right now, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay, I do not.
Our
care.
opinion is worth listening to.
No, I don't think it is.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You're wrong, Adam. Yeah.
I was
I don't think
joking,
it
come on.
is, and I'm fine with it.
I'm
You know what I mean?
joking.
Because the difference is I don't think our opinion is worth listening to. They do. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
problem here.
And like, to be
They're
fair,
out
I think
here.
our opinion is worth listening to on certain things, right? But not on like
I don't think it
everything.
is.
I reckon you've
literally-
got some opinions that are worth listening to.
I mean, I feel like on certain topics we actually have educated opinions.
Yeah, I
but
think there
other
are some
than-
some
other than
topics
that,
are okay.
but at the end of the day, like Charlie is right. They are
Yeah.
still just opinions.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Of course they are. Just opinions. Of course they are.
Well, it's kind of why journalists make a living. Like, they research a field, so their opinions are far more educated than those who aren't.
Hmm.
But at the same time, they are still just opinions.
Of course.
And yet the world decides that no, a YouTuber should be listened to ahead of someone who.
Oh yeah, I hate that shit. Like, though, in some cases, like, I don't fully disagree that like a YouTuber's opinion of let's say a video game. I wouldn't say it's any more or less important than that of an actual games journalist.
I mean, they're all just opinions on video games at the end of the day.
Because frankly, mainly because I think games journalism in its current form is just shit. Like, it's not journalism. People don't. I don't know, I feel like people don't do enough research. I feel like games journalists just aren't educated enough in the world of video games. And I feel like that's what a journalist should be.
I don't think it's the world. Well, I think there's some aspect of the world of video games that games journalists aren't educated enough in. But I don't think that's the reason. I think that video games journalists aren't educated enough in the world of journalism, and that's why video games journalism is not good. Not because they're not in. Because most people who do games journalism are love video games, right? Like there's no way around that. They don't otherwise they just wouldn't do it. Because it doesn't pay anywhere near enough. So, like, their knowledge of video games is fine. Their knowledge of developing video games may not be, particularly on point, but it's not that big a deal in the long scheme. In the long run of things.
Well, a music journalist doesn't know how to make a song.
Exactly, not necessarily anyway, but yeah, exactly. Like, it's not the biggest deal in the world in the long run. But it is maybe an issue that they don't know how journalism works.
Yeah, I think that's the bulk of the issue.
Anyway,
That's because they're not journalists.
so
They don't get held to that standard.
Mm-hmm.
The standard of video games journalism isn't journalism.
It's blogging.
It's reporting, I guess.
It's blogging. This is what Jonathan Holmes says. Like, Jonathan Holmes is like, we're not journalists, we're bloggers. And I agree with him. I agree with Jonathan Holmes on a lot of things, but like he I think because I was kind of pushing like this whole like journalism or whatever, but like it's probably just because they're bloggers, not journalists, right? And the same with like YouTubers as well. They're just like vloggers essentially, right? Reactors. People who enjoy video games and play video games. And there's nothing wrong with either of those things, but it doesn't make you an expert on the subject.
Yeah, no, it does not.
Oh, what have you been up to this week, Louis? Anything fun?
No, not really. Just play the same old shit, do the shit that we do.
Playing all the Destiny. All of the...
How's Grim Fandango going for you two?
Good.
The puzzles are obnoxious, Charlie, but the game's fantastic.
Yep, I am. I'm a big struggle with the with everything. I'm a big struggle with most of the thing.
We the entire stream we did a couple of days ago, Charlie. Me and Adam did not solve a single puzzle legitimately. Not a single one.
No. Of course not. Why would we do that? Why would we ever do that?
Old school adventure games, isn't it?
It is an old school adventure game, and that's why it's so difficult.
Nothing makes sense.
No. I think that's the biggest problem. The thing that I hate the most is that nothing makes sense. And I'm just like Louis's got like a guide open and he'll say something and I'll be like, no, wait, what? How the fuck is that the answer? That can't possibly be the answer. What do you mean that's the answer? Like, getting like genuinely angry about how the answer is something that I just would never
I think
have
the problem is that we do things in the incorrect order than what's intended in the developers' heads.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, I shouldn't. have to know exactly how that. I mean, it's fine. Like we missed a thing that we never should have missed, but it's not the biggest deal in the world, right? It's fine. But it shouldn't be. I don't know. It's whatever. I enjoy it. I enjoy the characters. I enjoy the plot. I enjoy the setting of Grim Fandango an awful lot. I'm coming to the point where I'm hitting my head against a brick wall when it comes to old school point and click adventure game design. I think that my issue with the video game.
I feel like looking at you, Adam, and going, first time.
No, but it's not my first time though. I've played games like this before. I used to play them as a kid, and I'm just like, oh, this is annoying. Like I think it's just because I've gotten used to, I guess, better. Maybe not better game design is the right word, but better game design, where the design is not obnoxious or unknown. Where you're just like, I don't know what the design of this chapter is, but hey, we'll do it anyway. Have you played anything much this week, Charlie? You've been too busy.
Too busy. I've literally not played a single game.
Not one game.
Nothing.
That's fair.
Welcome to my fucking shit life. You want to go there? We can fucking go there. No, I've not played anything. I've not played anything at all.
No Horizons this week.
Nope.
Madness.
Nope. I really want to, but I've not just had the time. I've been working too much.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I'm aware of yeah. I'm aware of your struggles, Charlie.
Yeah, it's life, innit?
But we'll get there. Life will be better eventually, right? Gotta be, right? Tell me,
Probably
yes.
not. Probably not. I mean, PlayStation Game Pass is supposed to come out next week, so
I don't know if that is because I saw the Project Spartacus thing, right?
yes, that's the supposed code name.
I don't know if that's actually a Game Pass thing or more just the fusion of two services that already exist.
It is the Game Pass thing.
Is it?
Yeah, it's
And
just
aren't there reports that there aren't going to be the new games aren't coming out?
Yeah, but that's the conflation everyone makes. So I think
Like-
the problem with the problem with the reporting, not the reporting around it, but the consensus around it is people have massively conflated like 8 things. The easy way to say it is this is what they are doing as a Game Pass competitor, which is true, but that doesn't necessarily mean that
it's
they
Game
are
Pass.
making an exact Game Pass. Equally, I think that's what it is, but that's why they're doing it. But it just is what it is.
Because I heard it was like the fusion of PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus, basically.
It's more than that, but that's the easiest way to explain it.
And that, for example, the new God of War game won't be available on Spartacus or whatever. Not at least not at launch, like most Xbox Game Pass games will be.
Well, every first party Xbox game is available on Game Pass day one, but also at the same and that's the difference. That's the biggest difference between the two.
That's what I've been.
Well, I have to be honest. Well, I really hope Sony does a good job with this because, like, I hate to say it, but like Microsoft do need a bit of competition at the minute. Like,
I think they do.
From what we predicted, from what we predicted at the start of this current generation, like it's gone completely in the opposite direction.
Thing is, I don't think it has. I think it feels that way, but you still can't buy a PlayStation 5.
No, you can't. Yeah, that's
They've
ridiculous.
sold more Xboxes than they have by they're safely in the lead. It's just there's this idea of the mindshare being Microsoft's, which I don't think is actually true. And I think if you go the reason why, for example, with the Spartacus thing, everyone's gone, oh, they're just combining these 2 things, is because A, it's the easiest way to explain it, and B, it's because the rumors are there's this 3-tier system where you have the lowest tier being essentially what PlayStation Plus is now. Then you have a middle tier and a top tier, and that includes a lot of what PlayStation Now is anyway.
Okay.
And again, people don't talk about PlayStation Now in the way they talk about Game Pass for sort of relatively obvious reasons. But again, it's just one of those things where, like, actually, there's a huge base there. It's just people don't talk about it in the same way. In the same way, people go on about Game Pass being so much more ridiculously better, whereas actually in reality, there's a lot of time games get added to Game Pass and you couldn't give less of a shit about them. It's just the big difference is obviously the game day one, but
Yeah.
realistically, Sony have still sold more consoles and put out, and it's still like selling ridiculous numbers.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's a mistake maybe not to include. Well, do I think it's a mistake? I don't know. Is the honest truth. I really don't know.
I think the problem with we not knowing is because we, like, as much as Game Pass is a success, it's still just an isolated case of something that doesn't exist on Nintendo and PlayStation, and like essentially
That's
how
the thing. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Is it does exist? It's just
Mm,
I don't know how they've managed
not
to
to the same
market it in a
degree.
way where people. The only thing that doesn't exist is the first party thing. That's literally the only difference.
Is PlayStation now much smaller? I know the Nintendo one is like, I mean, it basically doesn't exist, right? The Nintendo Game Pass is essentially like, hey, have Ice Climbers again. Here's some Mario Kart DLC. Like, it's shit. Is PlayStation Now? I thought PlayStation Now was much smaller than Game Pass.
No, not that. Not for like. I look at the PlayStation. So I was looking at PlayStation Now in the store yesterday, mainly because I was interested. If this comes, can I fucking play Sly Raccoon again? Which is all I want in my life right now.
Sure.
I just need to play. I just need to feel something, Adam.
Jesus Christ! You
I
sound
was
like a fucking drug addict. Jesus Christ!
I was looking through yesterday, and this is very unscientific. Don't get me wrong, but scrolling down PlayStation Now on the PlayStation 5 store,
Yeah.
and scrolling down the Xbox Game Pass library on the PC version of Game Pass.
Is there a PC version of PlayStation Plus?
No, but this is what I was going to be interested in, is whether or not there's a PC version. But anyway, the point I'm making is that sorry, my girlfriend's just handing me something. Is whether or not
It's something delicious.
Oh, thank you. No, it's not. It's art.
Oh.
I'm doing art. I'll show you after. No, but so it's the game library seem relatively the same size. If anything, PS Now seems slightly bigger, but there's the differentiate because PS Now was one thing and changed into another, and I think that's probably part of the marketing problem with PlayStation Now. Is PlayStation Now originally came out back in the day of what Gaikai and what was the other one called?
Clouds.
Gaming streaming services that just weren't ready
Yeah.
they just weren't prepped for the public, but that's where it sort of came from, right? This idea of like they bought Gaikai, and I think it was Gaikai they bought, and then made PlayStation Now from it. And it was originally a streaming only service. If you take it down to just ones that they've added, so over the last couple of years they've changed it so you can now download games as well as stream them. That pares down the catalog. The difference still really is not that big, but the difference is you don't have every single first party game that comes out day one on the PlayStation 1 for obvious reasons, whereas you do on the Xbox. That's the real difference here. I think, and Xbox has better support for certain ways. But yeah, it's by and large it's relatively similar. The catalog is probably better on Xbox, but again, that's because there's only like, well, I mean, it's still an okay number, but it's still only like 4 million PlayStation Now subscribers, I think, something like that. But there's about to be a fucking shit ton. I mean, PlayStation Plus is on like, I think I saw the number this week was at like 47 million PlayStation Plus users, and they're about to all be rolled into this in one go. So
that's interesting.
You know,
I'm looking now, and I think you can use. I think PS Now is on PC.
PS Now is, but PS Plus isn't.
Sure.
So that's one of the things I was interested in, is whether or not. That's one of the things I was interested in, is whether or not, like, that's the other big thing that Game Pass has that PlayStation Plus has never had or anything like that. But that's the thing, is Xbox Live Gold was never they were separate originally, you know? It's only very recently where they became a combined thing.
Wait, so I can play these games on PC?
PlayStation Now you can, yeah.
That's very interesting.
PlayStation Now you can. And now they're bringing all the things together. So it was the other thing, is like games we've got to get. Xbox Gold is still separate to some extent.
Yes.
They want to combine them, and they've been slowly moving that way, but it's still separate, whereas they're just doing it all in one big go, Sony. So it's going to be a thing. But yeah, it's whether or not that's the other big difference is Game Pass has a PC element to it, right? Now, PlayStation now does, but
Yes.
they haven't really spoken about,
Didn't know it
or they haven't
existed.
announced it. So they haven't really because it's not been announced. We don't know what the PC version of Spartacus, if you want to word it, looks
Of
like.
course, yeah. I didn't know the PC version of PlayStation Now existed.
Yeah, that's because no one talks about PlayStation now.
But why?
Because people gave up on it years ago, and so no one spoke about it. So unless you're part of really the PlayStation
Could be
hardcore, then you're
playing
never
my
going to speak about it.
PS2 games on it. I'm looking at it now. I could play Dark Chronicle, a game I've never played before but wanted to, on PC.
You'd have to stream it, though, I believe.
Yes. Yes. Which I
don't
don't
think
know
that's one of
whether
the downloadable
that's...
ones.
I don't know how that works.
God, the same way streaming any game works.
So, not very well, right?
Supposedly, it's okay.
Hmm.
Let me put it this way: it's not exactly going to be if you're sitting there playing flipping Street Fighter or a game like Destiny.
Yeah, but
or
a
something like that,
PS2, a
obviously you're not
PS2
gonna want to do it.
RPG though, like you're fine with it, right?
I suspect you're probably alright with it.
I imagine,
But again,
like,
because no one talks about it, because it's done, right? The idea of it was everyone sort of gave up on it a long time ago.
I
So
guess
no one's
so,
ever
yeah.
gonna.
But if they
That's just the
continue
way
to
these things go.
improve it, you know, like it becomes something worth looking at. It becomes something worth talking about. Like I didn't know Ape Escape 2, I could just play it from my PC right now. And I'm like, oh hey, I could just play Ape Escape 2 on my Dark Cloud, like the original Dark Cloud, which is a game I absolutely adore. Right?
And I think that's the whole
Or
that's
Rogue
the whole kit
Galaxy.
and caboodle of the issue is like it's always been a marketing thing.
Mhm.
So the idea that Xbox, for example, has run away with this generation, all this other sort of stuff, it's like it's marketing wise, they definitely have. And
Especially
when
with
you
Game
announce
Pass.
and when they announce games, yeah, only with Game Pass, nothing else.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like if you announce like whenever the new games on Game Pass get announced every month, there's this whole swath of excitement about it. But when someone gets announced for PS Now, it just no one talks about because because everyone gave up on PS Now years ago when it was still just a streaming thing because it was way too early in the life cycle for that kind of stuff. Streaming didn't make sense then, still barely makes sense now, but it definitely didn't make sense back then. It just is what it is. I think we'll see what we know. We essentially know if the reports are to be believed. We know what Spartacus is going to be, but we don't know how it will go. The big
PlayStation
thing
now has
is
Sly Trilogy.
I know, trust me, I saw. So we don't know whether or not like what they're going to add to it because I think Spartacus won't just they'll add more to it. It's just what will be added to it. And I think you'll
And where it
see like
works as well.
with the announcement of it, you'll see downloadable. You'll see. I suspect you'd see added to the downloadable list of games a bunch of PlayStation first parties that they can just lob in there straight away. You know, you have the ones that they gave away because, like, when the PlayStation 5 came out, for example, they had the PS Plus collection,
Yes.
which was this thing that everyone was always screaming, "You should be doing more with this, but you're not." Which was a bunch of it was God of War.
I mean, The Last of Us
What was
is
on there?
The Last of Us is on
Horizon,
this, right?
Last of Us. There was a whole bunch of really like PlayStation first parties. Persona 5 was on there.
Although that's
A bunch
not
of
on
really
PS
big
Now.
games. A bunch of really big games that were just sat there on the PlayStation Plus collection. Stuff like that will probably get rolled into it. It's just, and when I say the PlayStation Plus collection, I'm not talking about the games that come out on PlayStation Plus every month. I'm talking about if you bought a PlayStation 5, they just give you these games for free.
Yes.
They're like, you can just have them. God of War, Persona 5,
Yeah.
a bunch of them, right? And like stuff like that will probably get rolled into it to try and bolster up because that's the thing. You want those big name games that just don't exist
You do.
on the surface as it exists right now.
And as it looks on PS Now, I've sort of just closed it because obviously I'm not going crazy on it now. But as it looks on that, you can play these games on PC. Like you can play The Last of Us on PC.
Yeah.
Which is insane, right? Because that's so massive, like such a big game that I guess a lot of PC players have never been able to play before because they've not had a PlayStation.
I think the other thing that is interesting about Spartacus is the idea, like the rumor report that they're not going to put games on there day one. I get why. I understand. It makes sense. the way they are. But do you know what I think they will put on their day one is a lot of these live service things they've got coming up.
Sure, yeah.
Like, it wouldn't surprise me if whatever Bungie's next game is on their day one. It
No.
wouldn't surprise me if this Last of Us multiplayer game that's meant to be coming out at some point is on their day one.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have this player base, if you have a relatively big player base, whatever it ends up being, on those tiers where you get those games, which is the second tier, I believe, then it wouldn't surprise me if they use that as a platform for those games, because otherwise you only have to look at the likes of, I mean, Destruction All Stars came out, and which was one of their live service games, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
And there was so little mindshare on that game, they just had to throw it on PlayStation Plus straight as it came out, because they had no faith in them selling it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying they don't, like Bungie, for example. Bungie's next game will sell.
Oh yeah, of course it will. Of course it will. Yeah.
But I wouldn't surprise me if they went on there day one. And I think it would be. I don't think Spider-Man 2 won't be on there. God of War Ragnarok won't be on there. But
but they'll be there eventually as well, and not on day of release, but they'll be there eventually, and other big games will be there.
I think it's interesting.
It is interesting.
We'll see what happens. I don't know. But I mean, it's at least something that you know what it's like. It's like there's a lot of games that there's 15,000 games come out every single day at this point. It feels like, right? And how many of them fall through the gaps? And getting it put on that sort of thing will just give us the opportunity to play them more at an affordable price.
It's the same with Game Pass.
How many of us would have bought Sea of Thieves? No, I would not have done that. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
I don't think I would have, and I'm still glad I discovered it, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had fun with that game. I'm glad I didn't buy it, but I definitely had fun with it.
There's so many games like that, and I think it's a good thing to exist, even if it's not, because people it gets compared to Game Pass straight away, and that makes sense, right? And it is like they've probably looked at Game Pass and gone, this shows that there is at least an audience for that kind of thing. There is at least an audience for that kind of thing to exist, like for a more comprehensive subscription service, let's say. Of course. Which is probably why that GTA subscription service has just come out as well.
Oh yeah, the GTA Plus thing. Yeah.
It's only a good thing for us. The GTA one, who gives a crap? But let's say they added a game on the PlayStation 1. I mean, like, and they had and importantly for like yourself, Adam, for example, and Louis for you as well, that we were all like, oh my god, if they have a PC version of it, and they're like, oh my god, this game's come out that we all wanted to try it. All of a sudden, we can just try it for such an affordable price. It makes so much sense.
Exactly. And I know that the PS Now is streaming, and it's not the same as Game Pass in that you have the game like base there. Because I've been looking at some of the stuff on there, and like Final Fantasy VII Remastered's on there, which I'd love to play through. But I know that it would be terrible to stream that game, and I know the PC optimization's trash. So it would just be a fact of
streaming it should get rid of the PC optimization issue. To be fair,
yeah, I mean,
it's not on your console. It's being put on whatever the optimal hardware is, and it just streamed at you.
Yes.
So it should, in theory, I don't know if it does or it doesn't. It probably.
But then it also has all the problems with streaming, right? So it loses a bunch of problems and then probably gains a few more.
Yeah, probably loses a few frames. That's probably where we're at. But yeah,
probably yeah. But like, there's loads of stuff on there. Like, I don't know. I guess this is me being excited to play PS2 games, but like,
yeah.
But then I could play all the PS2 games anyway. I just fucking emulate them, right?
I mean, yeah. I think it is a shame that it gets sort of
overlooked,
written off as not PlayStation Now in general, because I understand why, but I do think it's sort of a shame that it gets sort of written off as, oh, they're just combining these two services. And I'm like, yes, that's because that's what Game Pass is.
I mean,
that's what I don't to understand
a point,
where
but Xbox still has Gold and Xbox Live, doesn't it? Like, they haven't gotten rid of Xbox Live yet.
No, not yet.
Which they should, like, immediately. But I mean, to be fair, the only reason we're having the discussion about Xbox Live is because Xbox Live existed in the first place. Like, Microsoft is the reason why we've had to pay for online anyway. Like they were the first to
yeah.
do it, and they'll probably be the last to take it off, apart from maybe Nintendo, who, fucking 10 years
Who got
behind the
into the
times.
game super late.
Yeah, they're like
They were
10
like,
years
"Yo,
behind the
what if
times.
we
So whatever.
charged people for this?" And they
That's
were
been
all
The
like,
working. Yeah.
Nintendo's gonna like, but this made money. Why is it not making money anymore?
Nintendo fucking pissed me off with that shit, but like eventually we'll move to this, like, I guess, Game Pass style subscription
Utopia.
thing. Utopia, Game Pass Utopia.
I don't know if it would be a utopia, like, because I'm always still cynical on the whole Game Pass thing, but like, I don't know, I do like it at the same time.
There are so many games on Game Pass that I just would never have played if it wasn't for Game Pass. Like I absolutely love the fuck of Hollow Knight now. Like Hollow Knight is quickly becoming one of my favorite games. Just like I love it so much, and I would never even I've been interested in it, but it just wasn't something I even thought about. Like I saw it once and I was like, oh, that looks cool, and then ignored it, forgot that it existed. Like without Game Pass, I would never have played Hollow Knight. Like just never. There's so other games as well that I probably just never would have played. That they're just like Football Manager, man. I literally never would have bought a Football Manager game. Like, can you imagine me going into it anywhere and being, "Hey, I want a copy of Football Manager"?
No.
It's not gonna happen.
Would you buy a Football Manager game if it released not on Game Pass?
I wouldn't have, but I might now.
No, yeah, that's what I mean.
Like, I wouldn't have originally, but I might do now. I'm not sure. Like now.
God, you fucking love Football Manager, man. I like it. I like it.
I don't know if I love it that much, but I do enjoy it. I think it's a really good game. And it's something that I enjoy. And I probably would like say FM23 comes out and it's not on Game Pass, I would be somewhat tempted to pick it up. I'd be like, you know what, if it's like cheap enough or whatever, I'd be tempted to. I absolutely be tempted to. I don't know if I would like straight up buy it, but I'd definitely be tempted to. Just as like when the new Hollow Knight, the Silk Song thing comes out, I'm almost definitely buying the hell out of that thing now. Like if I can afford it. If it's not on Game Pass and I'm still on Game Pass, like I'm definitely like, oh hell yeah, that thing's incredible. I don't know, it's a weird one.
Already.
What's up?
Is Silk Song not out already?
No, it's one of those games that doesn't exist, but everyone says it does.
No, I just thought Silk Song came out ages ago.
No. There's a bunch of Hollow Knight stuff that has come out, but it's not Silk Song.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's it. I think there are only 3 people in the studio from what I've so yeah, I can imagine that's pretty difficult. I imagine it's difficult creating a game of the quality of Hollow Knight if you've got like 100 people on the project, let alone 3. Like Jesus Christ, I can never. That's one of the things that always impresses me. Same with like Undertale and a bunch of other games from throughout. Like just generally, the smaller the team, the more impressed I am at how great a product is.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like the pizza game thing as well. Like when we were playing pizza game, like when I first heard a pizza game, I was like, sure, this looks fun. And then I was like, okay, there's like 2 people who worked on this game. Fuck. It's a visual novel, so it's not as impressive, but still impressed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Always impressive when it's like.
Well, I mean, that's the kind of game that could, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not taking away from anyone's achievements. So the game
That's the kind of game that can be written
But,
by
like,
one person.
I feel like, yeah, that game can be developed by a single person. Like a lot of these old adventure games. Like, a lot of these old Sierra adventure games or whatever were developed mostly by, like, 2 people.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
That's why they suffer from a lot of the problems that they do.
True. But then, like, it's like the maybe Hollow Knight's a special case, but like Hollow Knight not necessarily feels like a AAA game, but it definitely feels like it's a higher budget game than it is. I guess maybe the combination of the art style, the beautiful soundtrack, and it being like a Metroidvania kind of game, especially when it comes out alongside something like Metroid Dread, which is $50, $60, and has like mass amounts of Nintendo staff working on it. Same with like Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, went through like 3 Kickstarters and also 505 Industries publishing it as well. And is it 505? 505, I think it is. But yeah, it's like it's just astonishing. It's just astonishing the level of quality some of these games. Undertale's shocking as well. But
Yeah, Undertale's the one that's the thing that surprised me about Undertale is not only did he do it practically by himself, but he also did all the music and
he did all
everything
the
else. It
music as well, yeah.
Just makes no sense to me.
That he's so talented at everything.
People are talented, and I despise it.
What happened to him after Undertale? Anyway, I'm curious to know what
he went off to do soundtracks for like the new Pokemon game.
Toby Fox, he's made another game as well.
Yeah, he made Deltarune. More recently, he's doing the episodic Deltarune. But he's had because obviously Sans has a costume in Smash, so he's composed music for Super Smash Bros. Now. He's composed music for Pokemon Sword and Shield. Like, Toby Fox from Undertale has gotten so much industry credit, like, from places you wouldn't expect as well. Like, Nintendo hiring, like, a random American, I assume he's American, a random American indie developer to create some of the soundtrack for their next Pokemon game is almost unheard of.
Have you ever heard the story of how Star Fox was made?
No.
Star Fox. Oh, you got to go back. I don't know if he did it on People Make Games or whether he did it on when he was at Eurogamer and they were called Here's the Thing. I think the series was called. Go and watch it. It's the Star Fox one. I don't know if it was called Lilac Wars or Star Fox. Probably something like. No, it's definitely People Make Games. I can see the thumbnail in my head now. You should go watch that. That's a banger. It's a similar story and it's completely insane how it exists and it shouldn't.
Cool.
Or how not how it shouldn't, how you wouldn't expect it to.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, there's some really cool stuff. I mean, people are stupid talented. Some video game developers are stupid talented.
It's annoying, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, it is.
The
More talented.
talented bastards.
I do wish I was more talented.
Some people do brain rate good.
They do. I think also like I don't think that some of us aren't talented. I just think that like especially in my case, I think I could do some stuff. I'm not that talented, but I'm also mentally fucked.
Speak for yourself, mate. I'm a talentless hack.
No, you're talented. You're a good editor, and you're really funny and entertaining. You're a great host.
I disagree with everything you're saying. I'll take it. Don't get me wrong.
But I think, especially in me and Charlie's case, our mental state is fucked.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Like, I think there's a big barrier to entry with the both of us, and it's oh hey, we need intensive therapy.
Go with intensive.
You wouldn't go with intensive.
You know, some wouldn't go amiss.
Yeah, true. I've signed up for Mind Matters. I'm getting therapy. No, I don't. Well, maybe yeah. We'll see.
Oh, we can live in hope.
We can live in hope. Exactly.
We can live in hope. But we'll see what happens with it. I've no clue. I have no bloody clue. And I think obviously with PlayStation, as is always the case when it comes to backwards compatibility and stuff like that, there's the reason why there's not that many PS2 games on there, and the reason why there's not that many PS3 games and stuff like that on there and why that stuff like the PS3 stuff is mostly almost solely available through streaming services. Streaming is because the architecture of those old consoles was just a madness.
Oh yeah, it was insane.
Trying to put anything on modern stuff that was on old stuff for them is just a fuckery because they didn't think it through. And so like, you know, or they did and they just decided to go against it, whereas obviously Microsoft always they started from PC architecture for a reason. They made PCs. And so I'm interested to see how it goes, and I think actually that stuff you could make an argument for it being the same as backwards compatibility in any sense, where it's like, yeah, it's nice to have and it might necessarily be a selling point, but it's not really a selling point that is born out of actual usage. I think if you come out and you put big name games on it, then people will be interested. And so we'll see how it plays out. I'm interested in what the big games they put on there to begin with will be.
Backwards compatibility is always a selling point based on the idea that there are no games on that console. Right? Like that's what backwards compatibility sells, because you go, I want to buy a PS5, but there are no PS5 games. Oh, I can still play my PS4 games. Awesome.
Which is one of the things I thought, but this is why I think there was such a, again, this was a conversation within the PlayStation ecosystem, don't get me wrong, but why there was such a fervor for them to do more with the PlayStation collection, the PS Plus collection, because when people bought a PS5 and like there just wasn't that many games out on it, and it's like, well, if you bought a PS5, you also have all of some of the best games from the last generation. You have Persona 5 at your fingertips.
Yeah.
Like, you want a game you're going to spend 100 hours on. There it is.
You're like,
Oh,
oh,
you're
I've
not
got
into that,
Persona
you're
5 and The Last of Us. Okay, well, they're the two
You're not-
best
you're-
exclusive PlayStation games of the last 10 years. Sick.
Well, and you're like, well, it's like you're into the more Western stuff. Okay, you got that. Oh, you're not into The Last of Us. Okay, you got God of War. Oh, you're not into that. Okay, there's this, there's that. There was so much on there. There was 10 games on there, I think.
I think there were 10.
I
Yeah,
think it was 10.
yeah, something like
And
that.
it's like you could do stuff with that, but
There was
just never
always going to be
did, and it's
something that you
probably-
wanted.
And it's probably because this was coming along, but it's like that was a big thing. And again, it's almost benefited. I think going first is always a risk.
Yeah.
Now, if you go first and you nail it like Microsoft have, then obviously it pays off massively.
Of course.
But there's a very clear framework for them to follow right now, and I think just follow it, and you should be fine. And we should all benefit. That's the key here, because will come out, and we can discuss whether it's better or worse than Game Pass, and the obvious answer would probably be worse.
Yeah.
And we can discuss what the bad value, blah blah blah, all that stuff. Ultimately, if there's a game on it, for example, the three of us want to play, or anyone wants to play, and you can get access to it for £10 as opposed to, 50 quid, 60 quid at launch or whatever it is, sorted. Still don't fully understand how the financials of it all work, but apparently they work because more companies are chasing it. So we'll see. We will see.
We will.
We will definitely see.
I tried the Too Good to Go the other day, Charlie. Yesterday. I went.
Hello.
I have no.
Now
I have
I'm
no money.
interested.
I have
Now I'm
no money.
excited.
So I
Couldn't
went
give
to.
less of a crap about any of this other nonsense. Why didn't you tell me earlier? We could have skipped all this nonsense.
I
Joe Rogan,
don't
who?
know.
Come
I don't know how this works in town. I'll tell you that much. I imagine with you, it's pretty easy, right? You can just go, it's like 10 minutes away. I'll pop out the house and grab a Greg's or whatever.
I mean, yeah, not Greg's because they sell out instantly, but yeah, go on.
True. There are I think there are 5 places relatively near me that do it. The closest is a mile away. The other one's Morrison's. One of them's Morrison's in town, which sells out so quickly.
Morrison's does a few.
Hmm.
Interesting. There's the supermarkets. Around here
So
that
there's literally Louis said the other week that it would be a really good way to get cheap takeaways. There are no takeaways. It is all corner shops. It's all just corner shops and Morrison's.
Yeah.
If I had a car, there's a possibility I could go up and drive to the services and get a Starbucks, like a $5. That's pretty cool. And I'd probably do that if I had a car, to be fair. I do not have a car. There is a coffee shop in town that does it. But it's so random times, and I need to be in town to take advantage of it. Same with Morrison's, really. But I went to the I decided to book one. It was £2, and it was a corner shop near my friend's, which is a mile away. So essentially, I walked there and then walked back. So I walked 2 miles, in a V shape. I'll tell you that much. Is the path there? So I walk down a hill and then walk up a hill, and then walk back down the hill, then walk back up the hill. It was annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went there. They were like, yeah, here we go. Here's a box of stuff. I essentially just got a box of bread.
Love that.
I had 6, say 6 pre-made sandwiches. You know, the sandwiches that they sell in corner shops and stuff.
Yeah.
6 of those. All of which are basically used by the day I got them. I had one of my tuna crunches today, and it was fizzy. That was weird.
Fizzy? What do you mean?
You know that when you drink a carbonated beverage.
Yeah.
So what I've noticed is, because I used to buy cheap stuff from Morrison's, and fruit and vegetables, when they're on the yellow ticket, when they're just about to go off, sometimes they get a bit carbonated.
Interesting, a bit interesting. It's because of the gases that they're producing from
Yes.
being off.
Yes. So they get a bit carbonated. Louis probably is correct on the science there. I'm not gonna test it.
Can I just say something like, just don't, like, rule of thumb, just don't fucking eat corner shop sandwiches. Like,
They're all
I
right.
don't fucking trust them, Adam. I don't trust them. They're
To
not.
be fair, it's the big chain. It's the one-stop chain, not just a random corner shop. But to be fair, I'd probably be more likely to trust a random corner shop. But neither here nor there. So I got like 5 or 6 of those random sandwiches. Sure. I got a loaf of bread and then also some breakfast muffins. To be fair, I can't complain. I got a shitload of bread for £2, but it's not worth walking 2 miles for.
I mean, that's the problem, is you don't know what you're going to get.
It's and I don't really mind. So like with the Morrison's thing, I want to keep an eye on the Morrison's thing. And so like if I'm going into town, like the next, because I have to order it the day before I go into town as well. Because otherwise it's just sold out.
Sure.
So if I'm going into town
You have
tomorrow,
to do that with Greg's here. Nothing else, but Greg's you would have to do the night because it goes so quickly.
if I know I'm going into town tomorrow, I need to look up and say, oh, is Morrison's doing anything? Yes, I can get like 20 quid's worth of food for £3. Cool. Whatever, that's fine. But I don't think it's worth me walking like 2 miles for. Which is sad, because I wish it was.
I mean, it could be, though. It just, if you're doing it with other things. But that's the problem with living...
Yeah.
Chalk one up to living in a city, guys. But
Sure.
I think that's the difference, right? Is like...
And like in
within a mile
Manchester, for
radius
example,
here,
like
there's,
it's
so many
got
different
just as
places.
much.
Like, it's like around here, like within a mile, you could go to so many different places,
Yeah.
right? And I think if I like in your position, like if I was going to Morrison's, say, I would just get it at the same time as going to Morrison's, and
Yeah.
and check the bag, and whatever I don't have in the bag, I could just go and buy it, and you just get loads of it
Of
on
course.
a massive discount, essentially. Like, it makes it worth it in that sense. But if you're not going out of your way in that sense, then I think it's. But again, that's the difference between.
It would be
living
easier.
somewhere
It would be easier if I was living, so example, in a city like London, where I can just go right and popping out, getting this. Or if I lived next to that shop, like if I lived within like 10 minutes away from the shop that was just giving away sandwiches, I'd be like, you know what, that's fine. That's not far away, right? I can just walk there, walk back. It's cool, whatever. It would be fine, but I have to sort of, I think in my area, I have to plan around it a bit. I have to be like, okay, I'm going into town now. I can check this, check this, check this. Like there's Krispy Kreme on there, but Krispy Kreme never have anything on. Like they're never throwing anything away. They just don't.
Do you have a Krispy Kreme shop?
Apparently there's a Krispy Kreme in Blackburn, but I've not seen it. I don't know where
Or
it
is
is.
it a because we could, for example, we can get takeaway from a Krispy Kreme near us, even though there's no Krispy Kreme shop.
Oh,
But it's because there's like a Krispy Kreme machine in like a Morrison's or whatever
that might be
you
it.
can get it from.
That might be
I
it.
don't know, and I have no clue how they get away with putting it on like Just Eat or whatever.
No,
but they do.
Really? That might be it, because I think there's a Krispy Kreme machine in the Morrison's as well. They tend to be in Morrison's. Yeah, that might be it. Yeah. But they never have anything, so I'm just like, oh, okay, sure, whatever. Why are you here? There is a Greg's on here that I need to travel up to like the service station, which isn't too far. Like if I was already in town and I had a bus ticket for the day, I could go up to the Greg's by the service station, pick up like however much is that. I assume the Greg's lot is good as well. I'm assuming the Greg's like loot that you get is pretty good. I don't know what you want to call it, but I'm assuming it's good. I assume you get some cool stuff.
My God, loot crate, but for food.
I mean, that's what it is.
Is
right?
Is this the 1984 society we've come to live in?
I mean, yeah. Did you hear all the? I mean, going back to the depression. Did you hear all of the talk about the people who were saying no to potatoes from food banks because they can't afford to heat them?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh dear.
Like they go to food banks and they're like, "Sorry, I can't cook a potato because I can't afford gas and electric because the price of energy's gone up so much within the last like 2 weeks."
Welcome to the podcast, everyone.
Hello. We
Hope you enjoyed
moved
it.
on. On other things, you know what happens when I get bored? I look on Twitter. There's a naked man in a Greg's.
I'm glad you said that you've got bored during the podcast that you were hosting, but
I
we'll
know,
move.
right?
We move.
This is I mean, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, there's a naked man in Greg's.
I don't know what to do with that information. I can't lie to you.
There's like a picture of me eating a pasty on. No, it's just, I don't know what it is.
I was in a Greg's once, right? I used to go to Greg's
Mm.
at every lunchtime when I worked in accountancy. I used to go to Greg's every lunchtime, and I got really fat because of it, but I don't really care. Anyway, the movement is right. I was in there, and I was talking, and the guy who used to work in there, he worked in there like 3 days of the week or something.
Mm.
Really nice guy. I can't remember his name for the life of me, but he loved video games, and so we would literally talk for like half an hour about games at the counter before leaving, being late back for work or whatever. And once I was in there, we were talking, and I saw someone walk in, and the sandwiches at this particular Greg's were like right by the door. And I saw someone walk in, perusing the sandwiches, pick like 3 baguettes, put them in different pockets, and then just walk straight back out again. And I went, you know, they've just nabbed those.
Yeah.
And he went, oh yeah, they do it all the time. And I went,
Yeah.
you're not going to do something about it? He went, well, I could run after them, but they're just going to run away. And by the time I get out from behind this thing, they're going to be gone. Like, my manager knows. It just is what it is.
I mean, there isn't much you can do about it, is there?
I've always thought about that. You know? I've always thought, man, that is just how it is sometimes. You know, that's just life. You know,
there's not much you can do, right?
Get a couple of baguettes and goes, and that's
because what can you do in that situation? We'll call the police, I guess. You've got security cameras in the store, right? But are they really going to prosecute someone over a baguette? I guess they could, right? But
I'm just saying, it's just wild, isn't it?
It is wild. You're right.
It's just wild.
Greg's is wild. I would love it there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's probably
just took them and fucked off.
Yeah, I mean that's what they do. That's what thieves do anyway, right? They don't hang about.
They go, I'm just nabbing this one. Is that all right, mate? All right, good. Cheers.
He's like, right, Dave, yeah. Get it back up. No, I'm not paying for it. Fuck off. Back up. All right, see you in a bit. Bye, Dave. Bye. Oh,
Actually, wild.
Yeah.
Someone I know, I was out once with very late at night.
Well,
I say very late at night. It was like 10 or something. But he was like, we'd been out for hours and hours and hours, so he was already pissed off his head. Anyway, we were walking past a corner shop that sold fruit outside it. And he just picked up an apple, started eating it as he walked along. And I still feel guilty about that. And this was like 7 years ago.
You didn't even take the apple.
I feel horrendous about it. I can't be dealing with that sort of guilt on my conscience.
You know what the thing is though, Charlie? The secret ingredient is crime. That's why it tastes so good.
Like it though.
Why it tastes so good. That apple, if you'd have paid for it, it would taste like shit. They should be paying us to eat this crap.
I don't like it.
You too nice. I'm not saying I wouldn't steal an apple from. I wouldn't steal.
You wouldn't steal a handbag.
You wouldn't steal a car. Oh, I hate that. I hate the download thing. So fun. Is that your doing the music now?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't be asked. Tried it for a second and I realized it's not worth the effort.
Oh, jeez. Well, that's it. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching and listening and stuff. We'll be back next week. If you have enjoyed, give us a subscribe. It's fucking free. Just trying random shit out, being aggressive. Because you can do that, isn't it?
I mean, it's what you're supposed to do, innit? Let them know stuff like that.
Let them know stuff. Yeah, exactly. I fucking hate YouTubes and that. Right. Tomorrow we'll be playing some Overcooked 2, 7:30 on this exact channel. Sometimes video games on YouTube. You can come along and see us struggle against what I imagine is going to be some of the harder levels now. I think we've got that far, right?
I think, well, we're pretty on the end game now.
Yeah, I think we're on the end game now. So, well, you're welcome to come see us struggle and get angry at each other for it.
calm. See how calm I was last time?
Sure.
See how calm I was?
Saying you were calm does not mean you were calm.
I was calm, bruv. When was I not calm? Show me when I wasn't calm, and I'll believe, and I'll agree with you. Exactly. I was calm.
There we go. We've got some fun stuff coming up on the channel. We've got a versus mode coming up. We've still got the Grim Fandango playthrough of me and Louis on Wednesday nights or Thursday nights, depending on where we end up. So yeah, give us a sub if you've enjoyed this, and if you haven't, see you in the future, I guess.
Yeah.
In a bit. Bye.